Hello everybody, I am Crystal Clear 101, and today we're reviewing a third-party Transformer. Hello everybody, I am Crystal Clear 101, welcome back to my channel, and today I will be reviewing my first third-party Transformer that I have in hand. This is ToyWorlds TW-01 Hegemon. This is also simply known as not G1 Megatron. Now, I do not have the original box for this figure because this is how I obtained him. But his original suggested retail was $99.99. And in case you are wondering, the one I have right here is actually a first production run. This is not the TW-01B, which is the second production run. So I actually have the barrel extension, the silencer, I have the shoulder stock, and the sword. Now, as far as this figure is concerned, let me go ahead and say that until recently, I hadn't really gotten much into, these third-party Transformers. I've been, for the most part, I guess you could say strictly Hasbro and Takara, as they are the original companies that release Transformers. But there are some third-party companies that are releasing some decent, good, high-quality Transformer figures. And for me, this is one of them. This is Hegemon, aka not Megatron. Now, do I have my qualms about this figure? I do. I do have a couple of problems with this figure. But for the most part, whatever few problems I have, those few problems are really not a real issue. Because this figure is just flat out fantastic. Now, the only other figure I guess you can even remotely come close to comparing this to might be MP05 Megatron, the Masterpiece Megatron. But if I had to choose between that or this one, I would much rather pick this one because not only does he actually look like Megatron, Generation 1 Megatron from the cartoon series, but his transformation is nowhere near as complex as Masterpiece Megatron. I hate to say this, but if you've never fooled with a Masterpiece Megatron, he is the biggest pain in the arse when it comes to transforming him. And on top of that, he's delicate. He's a very delicate masterpiece. But this fella, I'll go ahead and tell you the plastic quality on him is actually very good. It does not feel like cheap plastic whatsoever. This actually feels like quality material. His articulation is actually decent. He's actually got very good articulation. You can have him, in the standard classic pose with his fusion cannon. But you have to admit, that looks sweet. That looks slick. Now, as far as whether or not the gun barrel can pivot under here, I don't know if it can do that. Like you've seen him do a couple of times in the cartoon series. But the fact that he can actually hold these poses relatively easily makes him just overall eye-catching. This figure, for me, is just nothing but pure eye candy. Now, do I have any qualms about this figure? I do. Let me go ahead and tell what my biggest complaint about him is. And quite honestly, it's his feet. Obviously, it does not look like Megatron's feet from the cartoon series. However, the reason it was done this way is so his feet can actually fit in here without any kind of excess material, I guess going over the side, I guess you can say. But because of his feet, there's not many poses you can really have him in because they're small. But luckily, there is an upgrade kit that's available for this figure. I have that upgrade kit, and I will do a separate video on that particular kit. And all I'll say is, when you actually see the upgrade kit, it makes a world of difference with this figure. But Again, the feet are not very small, and on top of that, he can topple over because of the size of his feet. Another one I have, these little side skirt pieces along through here. Now, as far as the design, it does not take away at all from the figure. In a way, I think it actually looks kind of cool. But the problem I have, and keep in mind, I picked up this figure, pre-owned. I guess I'm the second person who's had this figure. But these pieces pop off like almost pathetically easily. But these pieces, as you saw, that one just popped right out. I barely put any kind of pressure on that. But these little side skirt pieces, for me, they like to pop off. Now, if you remove them, then he looks more screen accurate. But at the same time, I honestly do think these little side skirt pieces do add like a little bit more to his overall appearance. I think that does look kind of cool. But if you get one of these figures, that's up to your discretion what you want to do with it. I guess the only other thing would be, it's some excess parts hanging off like the little trigger assembly right through here. I don't see that as an issue because if you honestly want to, you can actually remove that. And at that point, he looks more screen accurate. But for now, I'm just going to leave that part on here. But as far as the robot mode is concerned, I honestly don't think you're going to get a much better Megatron than this. And in case you're wondering, this Decepticon emblem right here is not standard on the figure, as it'll be bare bones. If you get this figure, it's your option if you want to put a Decepticon fashion emblem on him. When I got him, he already had that on there. But as far as robot mode is concerned, he's absolutely fantastic. Another thing I do have a small problem with is his fusion cannon for his arm. It does not lock in place. I mean, yeah, it will stay there, but you can move that very easily. I would have liked it if they could have found some way to actually lock his cannon into place. But on top of that, aside from the plastic quality, which I think is excellent for this figure, he's got very good articulation, especially for a Transformer. On top of that, the light piping effect for him is actually great. As you can see, there's some light coming back through here, and it is lighting his eyes up without any issues whatsoever. Now, as far as this transformation is concerned, like I said, it's nowhere near as complex as Masterpiece Megatron, but it's still a little complex, and let's go ahead and get straight to that. Now, as far as Hegemon's transformation is concerned, I'm used to calling him Megatron. I'm not used to saying Hegemon. But as far as his transformation is concerned, it is a little complex, but it's nowhere near the same level as MPO5. Now, first off, if you want some of his extra parts, if you need to take them off, you can, like the fusion cannon, the barrel, even the trigger group. Only one I'll generally take off is his fusion cannon. But just to start off his transformation, we're going to fold in his feet. Then simply just fold them up. Then simply fold the sides of his legs in, line up the peg holes, and close them in. At this point, you can simply collapse them in. As far as the head itself is concerned, the back folds back, the front folds forward, and right here is where you will have your copyright information. It says ToyWorld 2012 TW-01, but his head will simply fold in, and his head goes in nice and snug. Fold the fist in, straighten up the arms, collapse them in. They will lock into place. Now, in the instruction manual, what it then calls for, this arm to be pulled out this way. This one, rotate it up this way. Then simply pull this arm down. Rotate it this way. Then at this point you can simply fold it right down here. As you see, it starts to form the slide of the pistol. You can then fold out his waist right down here. Fold down his trigger assembly down this way. Rotate his waist section. Now at this point, this is the only part that is tricky, is once you've done all this right through here, you can then swing his right arm through here. It's a tight fit, but as I said, it's nowhere near MP05's difficulty. Then it simply locks into place right through here. As you can see, we have a slide. If you want to make it easier, you can go ahead and put your scope mount up here. Now, as far as the rest of this is concerned, simply hold on. This is the only part I honestly do get a little confused on. But you can rotate this front piece over here. Rotate this piece in. Bring in his waist. Now, there is a little tab right there on the trigger guard. There's a little tab, there's a little hole right there. Now, it will simply just peg right in there. Let me go ahead and just put my barrel on. Now, I removed these skirt pieces just to make this easier because whenever I do the transformation, these pieces like to pop off. But they will simply fold out to pieces like this. And my only complaint, I do mean my only complaint, is these pieces do not like to sync up where they're supposed to go. I mean, yeah, they will, go where they're supposed to go, but it will not be a snug fit. There will be gaps, some visible gaps. But if you ask me, that's like my only complaint about his transformation is going to be this little section right through here. Yeah, it's going to be nice and snug, but you will have some gaps like right in through here and like right in through here. But that's it right there as far as his transformation is concerned. Like I say, it's nowhere near the difficulty of MP05, but it is still a somewhat complex. But it is somewhat complex, but this transformation is actually kind of fun. Now here he is in his pistol mode. Now obviously it's supposed to replicate the Walther P38. First off, this does have a functioning trigger. I mean, it just pulls back, goes forward. It doesn't make a click or anything like that. But the fact this is supposed to be a Walther P38, I thought that was a nice little touch. Another thing I will point out is, even if you remove the sight base, the scope mount, this actually has pistol sights on it, like an actual P38, P1. This actually has pistol sights. I thought that was actually pretty cool. As far as the pistol mode goes, it's a little bit iffy. This is the only thing, in my opinion, that the Masterpiece has going for it, which is the pistol mode. The pistol mode for MP05 looks fantastic. Granted, it's, you know, a comically enlarged P38, but that's the only thing that the Masterpiece has going for it. But if you were to pick up the second release of this, which is TW-01B, then you would simply get this right here. You would get the Mason chain, and you would also get, I think, an extra head. It's supposed to be more based on the comic book version. But, as I said, this is the first release. So, I have a couple extra accessories that go with it. Namely, the silencer. And I have the shoulder stock. Now, with the shoulder stock, these peg pieces simply go into these little slots right down here. It's a little bit of a snug fit, but there is the stock itself. Now, these pieces right here are simply on one bar. Now, my only complaint is, yeah, you can do this to give that look of a shoulder stock, but, you know, it's not straight up and down. It's, you know, one side up here, one side down this way. However, one little thing you can do if you wanted to is you could hold it like so, and wrap those pieces around. You know, if you wanted to almost like a, you know, wrap it into place, I guess, kind of secure it. So the shoulder stock, I'm a little iffy on the shoulder stock. Now, as for the silencer, however, if you're wondering how this thing goes on, for me, it's simple, it's ingenious, and for me, it's an easier way to actually put it on. You gotta remove the muzzle and simply pop it in half. Now, the portion that has the slot right up through here, that's simply going to go on the front sight. Then this piece simply snaps onto there. And as long as you line the slots right here to the slots right here, it don't matter which way you put it, it will simply snap on. And we have Megatron in his P38 Uncle mode. And when I say this, I almost want to scream "Die Autobots" like from the movie. It honestly makes me think of that. But I mean, the fact you can actually still do this with the first release, I think that's pretty cool. I hated they didn't, you know, add these parts for the second release, but the fact that with the first release you could still do this, I thought that was sweet. But if I have any complaints about this mode, aside from how the pistol itself looks, honestly, it's probably just the shoulder stock. I mean, the fact it don't look like the traditional shoulder stock. But if you don't mind how this looks, how it looks a little bit goofy, then I think you're going to love the pistol mode. But more likely than not, you're just going to get him simply for the robot mode. That's the reason I got him. Now, as far as size comparison is concerned, For his gun mode, I figured I'd do a comparison with none other than an original G1 Megatron. As you can see, he is larger in his pistol mode. Obviously, he's much larger in his robot mode. But as far as the two modes are concerned, the scope on the G1 is bigger than Hegemon's, but the overall pistol mode itself is much larger with Hegemon. I figure I'd just share this right here. Now, before I do forget, this did come with one more piece to go with it. It's completely not necessary, but in case you do get this guy new, I figure I will go ahead and tell you. This does come with one more piece. It's more for the pistol than anything, but it does come with this orange cap. Now, it'll simply come with it, insert it like that to show it's a toy. But the great thing is, it simply just pops right off. So once you get it, you don't want it, you just throw it away and just call it a day. But in case you do get this guy, just make note, it's going to come with that orange cap. Now, there is something else about this figure that I absolutely do like, and I figure I'd go ahead and get to this since I just now covered the transformation, is the first edition does come with a couple of accessories. Now, let me go ahead and start with the one that comes with either version, which is his mace. Obviously, it's supposed to be his Energon mace that you see in More Than Meets the Eye Part 2. Considering this is the only time he ever uses the thing. But the fact that it's actually included as an accessory, it simply clips onto a peg hole in his hand. It could go into either hand. But the fact that this is actually included, I thought was actually pretty sweet. As you can see, it's supposed to be a I want to say translucent purple, but the chain is actually got a metal chain, so it actually flails very nicely. The fact that it included this as a standard accessory, I mean, yes, this is included with the Masterpiece Megatron, this particular accessory, but let me see if it does it. It does. If need be, you can actually store it like that, and when you want to have him deploy it, you can simply pull it out. Whereas the Mason chain that comes with a MP05, the entire thing's made of plastic, so you can easily break it. This, it just doesn't seem, as easy to break. But the fact this is included with either version, I thought it's pretty nice. Now, one accessory that is only included with the first run is this sword right here. This very big sword. Now, as you can see, this is a very large weapon form. This does break off into two pieces. Hold on. This will make it easier. But it will simply go all the way through his hand. But the main thing this is supposed to do, it's supposed to, I guess, replicate one of the original weapons that the original Megatron, the original Gun Robo P-38 had, which was this comically enlarged sword. I guess you'd say it's a Energon sword, a purple Energon sword. But like I said, it is two pieces. You have this piece right down through here, and this piece right here. Now, I don't recall the sword ever being included with the US release of the Generation 1 Megatron. I think it was mostly a Japanese release, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. But the fact that this weapon is actually included with the first release of Hegemon, I mean, while this is not necessary, I cannot honestly understand why this was, not released with the second release of this figure. If this tells you anything, that's a very tight fit in that figure's hands. It is not going to flop. It's not going to fall out easily. But now, aside from that, something else I will go ahead and show, which is the shoulder stock right here. Now, if you notice, it does have these little holes right through here. Now, it doesn't say it in the instruction manual, but you can use them for weapon storage. These pads right here can simply hook up to the holes right through here. Now, I don't remember if this right here is supposed to hook into here somehow, but the fact you can actually make this as a weapon storage for Hegemon, that I thought was actually pretty nice. Now, if you want me to give you my personal opinion, if you want the whole package, I would try and get my hands on the first release of this figure. My only complaint is the first release is going to be more expensive because it is going to be the one that your diehard Megatron fans are going to want. But if you don't care about this, the silencer, but you don't mind, the bare bones robot and this, then definitely try and pick up TW-01B, the second release of this, as this Megatron for me is very impressive. Now, as far as some size comparisons of Hegemon, here he is next to the Universe Legends class Warpath, as well as Voyager class Fall of Cybertron Soundwave. Here he is next to the Voyager class Generations Blitzwing. And here he is next to Voyager class Age of Extinction Evasion Mode Optimus Prime. Weapons and accessories for Hegemon include a Mason chain, which in design is based on Megatron's Energon Mace. A sword with purple transparent blades, meant to replicate the original sword held by the original Japanese Megatron figure. A silencer, which can be placed on Hegemon's barrel when he's in pistol mode. And this piece right here, which serves as both a shoulder stock for Hegemon when he's in pistol mode, and can also serve as weapon storage for Hegemon's additional weapons. An articulation for Hegemon consists of a swivel head with a hinge base, hinge shoulders with a rotating swivel base, swivel biceps, hinge elbows, swivel wrists, swivel midsection, swivel waist, swivel hinge hips, hinge knees, and ball jointed feet, which are on a hinge base. So overall, what is my verdict, my personal thoughts on ToyWorld's Hegemon? Aside from the few little complaints I do have, overall, this is a decent, honestly, this is actually, in my view, an excellent third-party Transformer. Now, if you are a fan of the original Generation 1 Megatron, if you love that particular character, that design, what he turns into, then yes, you are absolutely going to love Hegemon here. He's got great articulation. He looks screen accurate to the original G1 Megatron. Now, if you're I guess, a purist, and you want the first edition, then I will go and tell you, he is a little pricey because he is that popular. I generally see the first edition anywhere from $150 to $200, usually. However, if you don't care about the silencer, you don't care about the sword, you don't care about the shoulder stock, then TW-01B, which is the second production run, which has just the figure, an extra head, and the mace here, if that's all you care about, then by all means go ahead and pick that one up while it's still reasonably priced. But he's got great articulation. He's very eye-catching. And overall, he's just a decent, very eye-catching and fun third-party Transformer. So if you're a fan of this particular character, go try and hunt him down. Yes, he's a little pricey. That's my only true complaint I have about him. But aside from that, he is fun. He's just, for me, pure eye candy. I'm thrilled that I finally have this figure. But this will wrap up my review on the first edition ToyWorld TW-01 Hegemon. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. and I'll see you in the next video.